Hey everybody, and welcome to Mobile Cup of Joe's What's Brewing, our weekly hangout on air. I am your bearded barista, Alvie. It's so nice to see you. I've been gone from the hangout for a little bit. I missed you guys so much. I can't wait to get back and get inside of all this stuff and check it all out. But welcome to the hangout. A reminder, we're giving away some stuff, so you need to go ahead and get in the Q&A. That's live now. We'll be throwing in links and everything into the showcase there, so check that out. And we've got a ton of stuff to go over. No guests this week, no giveaways as usual, but we do have a killer giveaway. We'll get to that here in just a bit. But anyway, welcome to What's Brewing. Let me introduce you to some people. This is Mr. Tony here, Tony McAfee. He's one of our other panelists. Everybody say hey, Tony, and Tony say hey.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey Tony.
Hey Tony.
Excellent. Good to see you, Tony. I've missed you as well. I like to see the trimmed beard. You know, you're getting close to the bearded barista. I like that. Also, as usual, we've got I'm just running right to left here. We got Joe, the host of Mobile Cup of Joe. So it's good to see him. Everybody say hey, Joe, and Joe say hey.
Hey Joe.
Hey Joe.
Excellent. Next up is back from the dead, Fred. Good to see you, Fred. How are you? And how is
Howdy,
everything?
folks.
Say hey, Fred, and Fred say hey.
Doing great. Good to see you guys.
Excellent.
Hey Fred.
And also got Chuck Haines bringing the ones and zeros. Good to see you, Chuck. Everybody say hey, Chuck, and Chuck say hey.
Hey, evening all.
Hey Chuck.
Hey Chuck.
And also got Nick from Tech Dissected joining us in. He'll be a panelist and sharing some opinions and all that kind of stuff. So everybody say hey, Nick, and Nick say hey.
Hello everyone.
Excellent. And just to remind you again, I'm the Bearded Barista, and let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff we're giving away. Tony, I'm going to give you a second to get your phone and all that stuff ready. But just so you guys know, the Q&A is live, so go ahead and hit the Q&A. Ask us questions. If you've got something coming up, Fred will jump in with anything that's going on, so go ahead and hit the Q&A. You can do that through the YouTube comment section, the event comment section, or right here in this chat in the Q&A. Now, that's only for this live events for an hour, 9 to 10 Eastern, every week, every Friday. But if you're watching this throughout the week, go ahead and leave a comment on the YouTube section. We'll try to answer that as well. So, Tony, do you have a little phone there for us? Go ahead and show us what do we have.
Okay, what we're giving away is I just did a review on. I got two phones in actually. We're going to give away one of them. I got in BLU Products new Windows Phone 8.1. I have to say that right because I will get flamed online if I call it Windows Mobile one more time. Windows Phone 8.1, these are their first two Windows Phone devices. We have the Win Junior, which is a smaller $89 version you can get on Amazon. The one we're giving away, though, is called the Win HD, which is, I'll just show it to you, it is a bright yellow, it looks like a highlighter. It's even brighter than it looks right now. It's washed out because of the light above it. But it is an extremely bright yellow. This is a dual SIM phone. The thing I did learn today about this is if you're using it on T-Mobile, you do have to enter the T-Mobile's APNs because you will not get data. Otherwise, it's not like an Android phone where unlocked devices have the APNs built in, or they'll sense it from your SIM card, or however that works. So this is Windows Phone 8.1. It just got an update a couple days ago, and just to be real quick, the specs on it. It's a 720p 5-inch display. It does not have the on-screen buttons. It's buttons below the screen right there, your Cortana, your Windows home key, and your back button. The 720p display looks great at 5 inches. 8-megapixel camera on the back with a single LED flash, 2-megapixel shooter on the front. The front's kind of lackluster for a 2-megapixel camera, but it works. And the back 8-megapixel, I've never been disappointed by BLU cameras, even at an 8-megapixel range. The sound is a little small and tinny, but other than that, great device. And I think it's a Snapdragon 200. I think it's a Snapdragon 200 processor, a gig of RAM, and 8 gigabytes of onboard storage with up to 32 gigabyte expandable micro SD slot. And I do like how they kind of went with the HTC. It looks almost like the One and the budget devices that are similar to the One. I like how they went with that design. Feels great in the hand. Perfect. I think the 5-inch devices are really the perfect size if you want to be able to use the whole thing. I'm used to the larger phone now, but I can't help but love it when I get back to the smaller device. But this is US only, so if you've entered to win, or if you haven't yet, we're gonna start drawing names shortly. So we were a little bit late on that. So if you haven't yet, you might be able to get in there and enter to win. Just be sure to comment, let us know you're watching and that you want the device, and we'll be drawing a name shortly, a little bit later on.
Cool, yeah, and you're stepping over Joe. I was going to ask Joe, how do you win this thing?
Well, what you had to do, we put up a video for both the review and the giveaway about this time last week, and you just had to watch that video, make sure you're subscribed to Mobile Cup of Joe YouTube channel, leave a comment on that video, and then, like Tony said, just leave a comment in either on YouTube with the Q&A for this live video we have going on right now, so we can just make sure you're watching and we can get you entered for that. And we did have someone, Juan Sanchez, in the Q&A asks if that WinHD is going to work with AT&T. So it does work with AT&T, right, Tony?
Yeah, it'll get 3G on 3G, 4G. It's H+, HSPA plus 42. So it's 4G, H+ on T-Mobile and AT&T, and then any T-Mobile and AT&T MVNO. But the thing you want to do is just look up, if you win the phone, just make sure you look up APN. So if you're on AT&T and you win the phone, look up AT&T APNs for Windows Phone 8, and it will tell you exactly what you need to enter in to get internet access on the phone.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, we're here to help too. So I mean, if you get stuck too much and you've won a phone from us, we're going to help you out and get your APN set up if we need to. So let's go ahead and jump into some stuff. Reminder: go ahead and hit the Q&A and do the things that Joe just told you guys on how to enter this thing, because we want to go ahead and win or pick a winner and get you a free phone. I know we all want that. So a bunch of stuff going on, a bunch of news. We've got some freshly brewed news. Chuck and Fred, what's brewing?
Well, we had quite a few things this week, actually. I think probably one of the more popular ones, perhaps for some of the world, was the Windows 10 preview. The Windows 10, they released a, technical preview, beta, whatever you want to call it, that people could download, play with. I actually haven't had a chance to use it too much. Joe, I know you said you were pretty excited about it. I've just seen some screenshots, but it seems to me like Microsoft has really kind of taken what people didn't like about Windows 8, changing it around a little bit, but still maintaining some of the nice things about Windows 8. So for example, it still has the live tiles, but instead of what I think was that stupid start menu they had, they've gone back to the traditional start menu, but they still have the live tiles kind of right there beside the start menu. So you still get the benefits of the live tiles, but you get the traditional menu because, I mean, really that new start menu, unless you were touchscreen, it was kind of useless. Some other things I saw that were kind of excited, being a Mac user, that excited me was it looks like they kind of have a somewhat expose for Windows where you can kind of, I'm assuming, use some kind of gesture and get the view of all your windows. And of course, they finally have the virtual desktop support built in, so you can have more than one desktop and switch between them. Something that Windows, I think, has been sorely missing for since it's been released. So
yeah, what's also nice with it too is that, like you said, they did take away kind of like that god awful start menu debacle, whatever that was, but they still do have the Microsoft or Windows Store, whatever you want to call it, with all of those apps that were designed and made for that Metro UI, and those will still work, but they're just going to open up in your desktop now, and they're going to be windowed too, so you can have multiple windowed apps that were full screen before in Windows 8. So like the support is still there for the Windows Store and all that. And what's really cool too is that with Windows 10, it's a pretty big thing, but it kind of seems like when I was reading online, it kind of got left in the wayside, is that Windows 10 is going to be completely uniform throughout tablets, smartphones, and computers. So the application store on your Windows 10 PC is going to be the same on your Windows 10 tablet or smartphone. So I'm not sure exactly how they're going to work around that, because obviously an application for a computer is going to be very different from one for a smartphone, but it is nice because with Windows 8 and Windows Phone 8, we kind of thought we would be getting this connected ecosystem where our phones would be connected to Windows 8, but then that never really happened at all. So if Microsoft can do that with Windows 10, I think that's going to be probably one of the biggest features for sure if they can get that right with kind of that tied-in devices with both a computer, tablet, and a smartphone.
Well, is anybody using Windows 10? Anybody installed?
I have it on my laptop.
I mean, okay, I don't use Windows. If anybody's watched me on any of these shows, you know I absolutely despise Windows. Anything to bring me back.
Well, I mean, well, one thing that they finally, this is really not that big a deal, but in the Fred, we were talking about this the other day. The Control V in the command prompt is actually paste now, which is something that's been missing from Windows since the very beginning. And,
That's true. Yeah. Keyboard shortcuts did not exist in DOS, I guess. Although I guess you could have set them up as some kind of a buffer. But
well, they don't work in Linux either. You can't use. You have to right click anyway.
So I don't know. I don't know a ton about the new things, but what I would say might bring you back, Alvie, is they're kind of bringing some of what I would consider my favorite things from the Mac to Windows. So like I said, the virtual desktops. Live tiles are actually kind of cool. I think that now that they've got them integrated in with the start menu, they're useful, but they're not like, boom, there's everything right in your face.
Right.
So I kind of think the live tiles are kind of cool. I'm not a big touchscreen guy, on a computer itself. But I would say live tiles for me personally would probably be the biggest thing that would attract me to Windows.
Well, on a Windows phone, because I messed around with that some, the tiles thing is kind of neat. But yeah, on a desktop, especially if it's not touch, it was kind of like almost silly, really, honestly. It just to mess with it on a desktop. Like on a phone, it made sense, or on a mobile tablet even, but just on a desktop situation, it was just kind of weird.
I can agree with that. When I got my Lenovo, it came with Windows 8 preloaded, and on the one hand, I was telling everybody it was at the same time where everybody was offering to downgrade for free to Windows 7, and I was like, don't downgrade because you're going to have to use it eventually. Yeah. Eventually, you are going to have to use the next this one or the next one. The next one's going to be similar, or not that much of a departure. You may as well get used to it. And now, look who's right, because now you can get a free upgrade to Windows 10 from your Windows 8, but you can't get it from Windows 7. So
hey, just
yeah, but you still own the Windows 8 license, even if you took it downgraded to 7.
Oh, okay.
I recently bought desktops for the office where we need Windows to run some of the programs that we use, and a lot of the PCs that we've gotten have come with a Windows 8 license with a license to downgrade to Windows 7, which is what's loaded on the machine when you get it. So you basically got a Windows 7 machine with a Windows 8 disk and a license to upgrade it whenever you want to.
Well, that's interesting. Hey, anybody know why they skipped 9?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there goes.
You can take it.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. I know the rumor of why they skipped 9.
Well, I just saw that, I think it was like in a Reddit, Ask Me Anything or something, there was a Windows developer who said that because of the way, when they were coding Windows 98 and 95, they just had, from what I heard, it was like 9X or something. So then if they were going to do Windows 9, there would be compatibility errors if they had Windows 9, because then the programs would see that as 95 or 98, so that's why they went to 10. But that's what I heard. I don't know if you maybe heard something different or if that was kind of the same thing.
No, it's pretty much the same thing I heard. It looks like, in programming terms, basically it did if version starts with 9. So Windows 9 would technically have started version number 9. So it could have been incorrect.
I don't know, guys. Windows 95 and 98 were actually version 4. They were really Windows 4. And if you typed the version command at the command line, it came back and gave you Windows 4.0 or 4.1 or whatever version it was.
That's what NT version they were.
Well, 95 and 98 were not NT yet. There were two at the time in the 90s. There were two parallel streams of Windows. There was DOS-based Windows for home users, which originally ran just as an overlay on top of DOS back when it was Windows 3, 3.1, and so on. And on the other side was the NT kernel-based, which went up to NT4, which was parallel with Windows 95, which was also Windows version 4.
Okay, so there's just
and
then
Windows 2000 was supposed to be the one where they merged the two together, and drop DOS other than as a command prompt, and we're going to build the whole thing on top of the NT kernel. But at the last minute, they only released NT Server and Pro versions, and they decided to release one more home user version that was DOS based, which became Windows Me, which think still had a 4.0 version number, but we can check that out. And Windows 2000 was 5.
Yeah, we were looking at this the other day, Cliff and I, because the reason that I believe Microsoft explained the naming of Windows 7 was that they said it was the 7th version of Windows. It's not. It's actually the 10th version, but I digress.
Some of those were minor revisions. So XP was version 6. Again, if you typed the VER command at the command line on an XP machine, it would return that it was Windows 6.
Okay. Well, with that being said, that would probably be a better reason for why they went to Windows 10 with this. So they had Windows 7, and then they had Windows 8, and then they had 8.1, but really 8.1 was a new OS in its own right. But they really needed, it was more like, cleanup time, and they didn't really want to wait 3 years to do their regular update cycle. So they did 8.1, but 10 returns to their old naming scheme that they had come up with.
I say they just go to naming it after confections and adapt to Android's version. I like that.
Well, what we're talking about here, what we're seeing with 10, and what someone just said about 10, this may as well be called Windows Ice Cream Sandwich, if it's unifying phones and tablets.
Yeah, but so we've heard this story from Microsoft before, though, and I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to mention this. So Windows 8, Windows Phone 8, the Xbox, those were all supposed to be unified in one single development platform, one single app store, and everyone got really excited about it, and it never happened. And so, Windows 8 was this tablet, desktop, everything, and it didn't really do anything really well, I would say. So, I don't know. We've heard this story before. We're unifying everything. At this point, I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, here's what I know. We've talked too much about Windows. Let's move.
Well, why don't we talk about OS 10 then?
Oh, go for it. Something happened this week. Yosemite, tell me about it.
Yes, it did. So this week, the first Gold Master was released for OS 10.10.
Explain that, please.
So the Gold Master, for those of you guys who don't know, is basically back in the old days, when a operating system was finished, they actually had a gold disk that they would burn the operating system onto, and they would send that out to the manufacturers to start mass producing the CDs or the DVDs or floppy disks, I guess, as it might be. So that was called the Gold Master because it was actually physically like a gold disc. It was like, hey, everything's done. This is golden. So even though no one actually installs OSs off of DVDs and CDs anymore, they still call it the Gold Master, the Golden Master. So what the Golden Master basically is, and Apple very specifically said this is Golden Master Release 1, because this may not be like the final Golden Master. But this should actually, yeah, well, you always leave that little bit of wiggle room, but just in case. But this should be basically the final version that whenever they announce it, which from what I've seen today looks like October 16th, is when they're planning to do a town hall in Cupertino at the Apple headquarters. Looks like they're going to be announcing OS 10.10 and new iPads.
Now, are you running it?
I am. I've actually been running 10.10 since about Developer Preview 4. Basically, as soon as VMware supported Yosemite, I installed it, which was somewhere around Developer Preview 4 or 5. 4 and 5 are pretty good. 6 was okay. 7 for some reason got really, really laggy for me. Like switching between the virtual desktops and stuff was just really, really dog lagging. But I can say that with the Golden Master, all those kind of quirky issues I had in the last developer preview are gone. So it's been rock solid for me. I've been seeing pretty insane battery life. Generally, for my workday, I'm running a Windows-based Windows inside of VMware, and then usually I have my Vagrant VirtualBox up. A lot of times I'm running on battery, and I'm consistently seeing between 5 and 6 hours of battery life with that configuration going, which is pretty impressive when you basically have 3 operating systems running at once.
Right. Yeah, that's not too bad. I haven't installed it yet here on this rig. Really, I'm just going to wait till I know the Golden Master's out, and that's probably going to be release candidate, but I'm just waiting on versions out because I can't have this go down or get laggy or do something weird. This is everything. This computer I'm on, so I can't burn it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I understand.
I live vicariously through you ones and zeros.
I live on the edge. This is my work laptop, but
now, if you want to talk my 6.5-inch Sony Z Ultra, now I live that way on the edge, and I get frustrated when it doesn't work right. But my real rig here, I've got to kind of leave it in the safety zone. Let me remind everybody that's watching live, we are giving away, Tony, hold it up for us, a Windows phone from BLU. This bright yellow beast of a highlighter phone. That thing is beautiful. I would love to see it in a black light. You got a black light there, Tony? Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry. No, I said I don't have a black light because it's actually 2014. So.
Oh, yeah, that's the level there, buddy.
Man,
it's not on.
Just for that. No. But yes, Tony has the BLU phone there. It's beautiful. It's a good thing. You want to win this. This is for US GSM variants, correct?
Yes. I mean, it'll work. I mean, it was made for India. So originally, because they co-op with Gioni. So it was made for India and Asia. Originally, it is a dual SIM phone, but only one of the SIMs is going to be very much used for you here in the US. Now, I should take that back. Now that I know what I know about the APNs, you may be able to use both SIM slots. But the funny thing about this one is this is the first dual SIM phone I've seen that has one micro SIM slot and one mini SIM slot. So if anybody doesn't know. Yeah, if anybody doesn't know, mini SIM is just your standard SIM card because a full-size SIM is the size of a credit card.
I wish more phones would adopt that. Typical dual SIMs, they're both the same, but I think it would be nice. Just personally, just so many people have different SIMs already out there.
If they both work the same way, yeah. Yes. But the way it is supposed to be one of them's WCDMA and the other one is SIM one is GSM and the other one's WCDMA. I don't know what the difference is. I wish I did. I should. I feel kind of bad not knowing. But yeah, that's the phone. Very nice. What's that?
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm getting you deeper than I meant to. Hey Joe, no remind us how to enter and win this thing.
Yeah, so it's really easy. Just go to the Mobile Cup of Joe YouTube channel, which you probably already on if you're watching this video. And then just go to our video we have up. It's called Review plus Giveaway Blu Win HD. Well, just make sure you subscribe to the Mobile Cup of Joe YouTube channel, then go to that video, leave a comment on that video, and then just leave a comment here on this live hangout, the What's Brewing right now, either on the Q&A or the comment on the live stream on the YouTube channel, just so we know you're watching and so we know you're here. Then we'll randomly pick a winner, and you'll be good to go and be entered to win.
Cool. Easy enough. So go do that, and let's go win this thing. Come on, guys. All right, back to what's brewing here. I've got plenty to talk about, and I know you guys do too. CyanogenMod turned down a Google buyout. What's brewing, Fred?
Well, that there was an offer for a buyout, I guess, was a little bit surprising to some people. That they turned it down may have also been a little bit surprising, but the terms under which they turned it down, or the so-called gauntlet that they laid down, was that they're holding out for $1 billion.
That's billion with a B.
$1 billion with a B, US dollars, and I don't know. Do you guys think that's realistic for CyanogenMod?
Yes, and here's why. Right now in Silicon Valley is all about companies artificially inflating your valuation even though you can make absolutely no money whatsoever, and then someone comes and buys you, and then the next company does it. It seems to be a trend right now, with the tech industry, is go out there, get these insanely high valuations, make absolutely no money whatsoever, I mean, and then someone buys you, and all of a sudden, great, awesome. I mean, look, what Instagram was bought. How do they make money? Who knows? I mean, okay, great, you got some advertising, you got some people, but do they really make any money? So do I think they can do it? Right now in today's times, I absolutely think they can.
I mean, somebody just offered $10 billion to Snapchat to be bought out, which they definitely don't make any money. Not even on advertising. They're inherently worthless.
Yeah, well, valuations are different. It's like what Chuck is talking about. Like, it's not how much money you currently have in the bank versus how much money you're making, what your docket's supposed to be, what your quarterly projection. It's just different. It's just how much do you think you're worth? Now, me, I'm all about it. I think Cyanogen should go for the $1 billion. I think they're worth it just because of what they put in, what they've done. If you can get it, get it. If you can get $1 billion, dear Lord, go for it. If Snapchat can get $16 billion, go for it. If people are dumb enough to buy this stuff for $16 billion and $1 billion, say that you're worth it. I am worth $1 billion. If you want to tattoo Microsoft on my forehead for $1 billion, you can do that. I mean, everything's for sale. And I mean, seriously, Cyanogen, you're going to give them crap, and everybody does. And I've seen it all over. All they are is kingers. All they are is copy-paste coders and all that. If you're developing for Android, it's an open source platform. You're copying and pasting. You're kinging. You're borrowing their code. The end. Done. Cyanogen it does that. They're the best ones. They've got phones out there. They've got an entire just platform OS. I say go for it. $1 billion. That's really it's a deal. I say it's a steal. Go for it.
Well, they're doing something right because they had to turn down Microsoft supposedly wanted to buy them, and they had some high-level execs from Microsoft and now Google. So I guess they're doing something right. Sorry, Fred. Go ahead. I interrupt you.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're doing something right and people are going to pay the price, it's what the market will bear. But in some ways, doesn't it start to sound like 1998 or 1999 and the old .com boom again? Absurdly inflated values. Of course, then it was a lot of venture capital, but let them go and get it. But it creates an artificial bubble in the economy that ripples will emanate from for a long time after. Once people come to their senses, little bursts like we saw happen in the early 2000s. But if there is a market for it, I can't see Google paying $1 billion for them, but maybe they will.
Well, if it means that they don't lose $3 billion in sales because someone's going to buy the OnePlus instead of a Nexus, or some manufacturers going to CyanogenMod instead of going to them, buy out the competition.
Yeah, well, that was the Microsoft way back in the 90s, so maybe it's Google's turn, and they are on an acquisition spree, aren't they?
And I can go a million different ways on this, and I see what you're saying, Fred, I really do. I try to stay open-minded with all this kind of stuff, but, I don't know. If you talk about valuation, can you get that money back? Does Google think they can get $1 billion back if they buy CyanogenMod? I mean, I don't know. They hadn't said they're going to buy it yet. But I do. Can Facebook get $19 billion back from WhatsApp? I doubt. That's really high. That's a whole lot of stealing user data before they can get that $19 billion back. Yeah, I think they can. Today $1 billion is nothing. I mean, really, for these companies, and it sounds like a ton of money for us. And I probably could live a few weeks on $1 billion, but they throw around billions so much, the way that Google bought Motorola's patents and then send it back and all that kind of stuff. And I think they can make $1 billion back pretty quick. Google especially.
You don't have to make it back as long as you can sell it later on for more than you bought it for, too.
Yes, exactly.
Or that's the best way to acquire talent. You buy someone else.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what happened.
It's really easy to just buy out the company and say, hey, we don't really need this product, but you guys, you're looking good. You have ideas.
That's what happened with, I forget what the name of the app was now, but it was an app where you download on your smartphone and then you take a picture of pretty much anything you want to sell, and then they'll sell it for you, and then they'll send you a box to ship it, basically. You take pictures, you provide a detailed description. I think Dropbox bought them, and then they said, okay, no, you're not working on that anymore. And the app, yeah, seriously, the app's gone now.
Google did that with what was the name of that email client for OS 10? It escapes me now. It's a Swift, not Swift Mail. I forget the name of it, but there was a really, really awesome Google email client for its time, Gmail client for OS 10.10. Google bought them and essentially said, okay, people can have that, but no, here's what you're coming to do now.
That's awesome. It's awful and awesome.
Well, all right, so I'm going to move off of this in just a second. But remember a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago now, who was it? Koch left CyanogenMod.
Mm-hmm.
You think any of this is related? Speculation.
Well, he's been gone for a while.
Yeah, no.
Well, here's the thing. I actually believe what he said. He said basically he can't focus on his own company and CyanogenMod at the same time. And anyone who's worked in a startup before, I've worked in 2 startups now. The amount of hours you put in is insanity. It's mostly sweat equity because you're hoping that someday you get that $1 billion valuation.
Right.
All of a sudden you're rich. But you are putting in 80 weeks is not uncommon at all.
Sure.
For startups. So I actually 100% believe him. He probably was making a ton more money with his own apps and his own company than working for a CyanogenMod. And I think what he probably saw is that, this isn't going to be a quick money maker, or, they don't, or, still the thing is what is their business model? How do they eventually plan to make money, if at all?
Yeah.
And he may have seen that and said, you know what, there's no long-term business plan. This ain't for me.
Yeah. Well, one of the things they're heavily invested in would be the OnePlus, correct?
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So there's some plans going on. What's the OnePlus plans for next year, speaking of Cyanogen and OnePlus and all this stuff?
Well, there was a lot of talk that, when they asked Guillermo and a couple of other guys to design the AOSP version of Android for the OnePlus, which is actually an officially supported ROM now, and it is just plain AOSP. So it's basically turns your phone into a Google Play Edition OnePlus. When they asked them to design that, there was a lot of talk that Cyanogen wouldn't last with them for some reasons or another. Now, I don't necessarily believe that they're not going to last with OnePlus, because they are, aside that, them and price point are the entire draw for OnePlus. Aside from having a good good phone, the price and the fact that Cyanogen comes stock and you can root it without voiding your warranty, those are the two big draws of the phone. Without those two factors, nobody would ever buy them because of the way their company has operated so far.
Well, and up to this point, it's been difficult to buy a OnePlus, correct?
Yes.
Anything on the horizon for them? I know they got plans for a OnePlus rollout. Joe, what's up with that? What's brewing?
Well, we still, which really is pretty typical for OnePlus, we haven't got an official date yet on when this is coming, but they did say in a recent Ask Me Anything on Reddit, they had a couple of their PR guys there. They did say that and confirm the invitation system, it's still going to stay intact, but they will be opening pre-orders for the OnePlus sometime late this month. Now, again, we still have no idea when this is going to come, but they did say that the invite system is going to stay in place for that, but they are going to have the pre-order system there where you can order the device and kind of see how long it's going to take you to get your device in stock if you do the pre-order method. Now, during this Ask Me Anything on Reddit, they also did kind of confirm OnePlus 2, because they were talking about the style swap covers, about how they were canceling them for the OnePlus One because they were having quality control issues with those. And they did say that the OnePlus 2 will have a better implementation of the style swap covers. And while they were talking about the OnePlus 2, they also kind of hinted at they were maybe considering a smaller form factor, because the OnePlus One, if you don't know, it is a pretty monstrous phone at 5.5 inches. And is definitely quite a bit larger than most people would be comfortable with, because this is still kind of considered a phablet right now. So they did mention that they are looking into maybe doing a smaller form factor for that, which I know I think it'd be really good for the company to have that choice if you want a larger screen or if you want kind of a more manageable device. And they also hinted at too that they were going to looking into maybe putting a micro SD card slot in there. Which if you go on the forums, there are tons of people still complaining about not having expandable storage on the device. So they have had a pretty rocky start so far, and I know it's kind of hard to think about them already talking about a second device when the first one still really isn't available to purchase widely to their fan base, but it will be interesting to see kind of how they manage a second device when they've already had such a rocky start with their first product. But then again, we kind of hope and cross our fingers that they've learned what to do and what not to do after sort of launching the original OnePlus One.
Yeah, they've had so many false starts. I don't know that they're learning anything as they go.
It certainly doesn't seem like it. I know with the styles, when I heard the style swap covers were coming, and then I was watching Erica Griffin's video on her. She was removing the back cover from her OnePlus, and she actually even pointed out later. She's like, see these divots along here? This is what happens when you remove the cover. She's like, if you have to use, because you have to use something, you can't just pry it off with your fingernails. It's made really well, but what it seemed like is they obviously 3D fabricated these backs with a 3D printer. It's the exact plastic you'd get from anything you order online that's 3D printed. It's that sandpapery feeling plastic. So what it seems like they did is somebody's in a factory somewhere popping the back onto one of these because the machine didn't get it, and they're like, you know what? We could make other backs that you could put on this. Yeah, let's do that. And then they just ran with it until somebody finally probably broke their phone in half trying to get the back cover off, and they're like, you know what? Let's not release this because it is going to be an issue if people are damaging their phones. It's not like a Samsung phone where you have a little divot, pull the back off. It's not like that. It's like taking apart a phone, and it's like taking apart an iPhone. It's like taking apart one of the phones that is not meant to be taken apart.
Well,
Yeah,
almost
there you
they
go.
could do the Moto X thing, the Moto Maker thing. You could pick your different back, but it's not really good to swap them out.
Yep, that's what I was just about to say was the Moto Maker.
Yeah, well, and I'm really interested to see if Shamu, all these leaks end up being the Nexus 6. I so hope they bring it to Moto Maker. I so hope they
Yes.
put the Nexus 6 in Moto Maker because I would love a Nexus 6 with a leather back. That would be.
Well, I've got things to talk about Shamu too, but before we get there, we do have some menu reviews. Every week we do this. A reminder while we're talking about every week, Q&A is open. Ask us some questions and go. Make sure you get entered in to win this Windows phone. But also every week we do a menu review. We call it an espresso shot. So Joe, what's brewing with your espresso shot?
All right, so this week for my espresso shot, I do have the Nokia Lumia 635. This is on AT&T, but it is one of their Go phone products, so it is definitely a budget or a very, very low-range product. And I'm coming to this from my OnePlus One, so I've been using Snapdragon 801, 3 gigs of RAM, and that insane 3,100 milliamp hour battery. So I've been coming with pretty high expectations, and I do have to get in the mindset that, yes, this is a very low-end device, but I've been surprisingly really happy with what I've been getting out of the phone so far. The first thing I noticed when I took it out of the box is that the design is actually really nice. It's got really flat corners like Nokia is kind of known for. It's got a really solid build construction. There's not a lot to it, just kind of a black slab. This also comes in an orange and I believe a white. But it's very simple design, but it feels surprisingly sturdy in the hand. Feels like a much more expensive product than you'd think it would be for the price, which I'll get into in just here a little bit. What's also nice is just kind of quick specifications. You've got a 4.5-inch display. It is very low resolution though. It's something like 854 by 480. You've got the Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 CPU, 1.2 gigahertz quad core, and 512 megabytes of RAM. So we're definitely not talking any insane specifications. In regards to storage, you have 8 gigabytes internally, but you can expand this thing up to 128, which is really nice to have that on board. You're running Windows.
Tell them about the buttons on the bottom, like I mentioned, because they're different than the ones on this.
Yeah, so on here, you can see if the phone's off right now, there are no navigational buttons, but when I do turn it on and unlock it, you've got navigational buttons right there. So that's actually something that just got supported with the Windows Phone 8.1 updates, that you can have on-screen nav buttons. Now, it is nice to have, but they do kind of feel rushed. I mean, coming from it's a very small thing, but if you look at Android's nav buttons, you do have animations, and you press the buttons, you get kind of a animation when you do it. If you rotate it, you get a pretty animation too, if you rotate it from a horizontal or a vertical landscape. They're nice to have on here, but it's got this consistent black bar. It's not transparent like we have on Android right now. And when you press it, it vibrates, and there's some haptic feedback, but there's no animation or really any other indication you are pressing the button. So again, very minor complaint, but it's just something that kind of irks me a little bit. But in regards to the software, you can kind of see right here, just swiping through, the start screen on Windows 8.1, even for half a gig of RAM and a Snap 400, it surprisingly runs really great. In regards to camera, nothing special, 5 megapixel, no flash at all. So you're not going to expect great photos out of this, because in general, again, this is just kind of the bare essentials, what you need out of a smartphone. And I know, Tony, you haven't been a big fan of Windows Phone 8.1 on the Win HD. I personally, though, have always liked Windows Phone 8. I started out with the Lumia 820 back in December 2012, and I've been a huge fan of Windows Phone since then. You've got Cortana on here. You finally have a dedicated notification system up here, which is something that Windows Phone has been missing for far too long. So I've really been having an awesome time with this phone, and what kicks me still, and what's really awesome, is kind of making me think about buying one myself. Completely unlocked, this thing costs just $99, and again, it's nothing special. It's a very bare smartphone, but for $100, if you just need if you're starting out with your smartphone, you have a phone already, but you kind of want to see what Windows Phone 8.1 is all about, but you don't want to throw down a lot of money for a 1520 or a Lumia 928. This really isn't a bad way to go. You got solid construction, feels very durable. Respectable specifications for a budget device, and really for $99 you can't go wrong. So if you know what you're getting into, you need kind of a starter phone, or your phone broke, you need a replacement, or again, you just want to kind of see what 8.1 is all about, I would highly recommend it, because I've been enjoying this a lot more than I thought, because I get a budget phone in, and I always put myself in the mindset that I know this is going to run slower than I would like, the screen's not going to have as high of a resolution. But even with those in mind, I've really been liking my time with this, and even for a budget phone, this really has surprised the heck out of me, so I've been having a lot of fun with it so far.
One thing that I noticed, and when he says that I don't like the Windows 8.1 on the Win HD, it's not because of the phone. It's my bias against Windows. It's my bias towards Android, really, is what it is. But the thing that really impressed me, and what Joe is kind of skirting around there, is with a Windows phone, you don't need. I mean, I'm sure, yes, if you have those high-end specs, the phone will work great, and it'll probably work better. But I did notice that Windows Phone 8.1 is an operating system that you just don't need those crazy ramped up specs for the phone to still work well. So that's the one thing that I noticed, is that even on a budget device, of all budget phones, I would probably choose a Windows phone, just because it's going to work better than a budget Android phone. It's going to work better than an old iPhone. You know, it's just going to work and be smooth and seem like a higher end device, seem like there's better specs in it. Am I right about that, Joe?
Yeah, like, of course, if you get something like a Lumia 920 or the 1520, which are kind of the highest end Windows Phone devices right now, yeah, you're going to see better frames on there, you're going to see more fluid animations. But if you compare this to, say this is running Android, even with 4.4 KitKat or Android L, the experience still wouldn't be as seamless and as fluid as it is on here, because I know Haines doesn't really show it off that well, but really it's just swiping through and opening apps. Yes, it's slow, but the software in general runs really great, even on lower-end devices. So again, yes, you're going to have, of course, better speed and performance on something with a flagship processor. But considering how low specifications the thing does have, a Windows Phone does optimize really nicely to those lower-end processors and lower amounts of RAM.
And here's what I'm learning especially with budget phones in general. Like my parents, Mom and Dad, love you very much. A lot of times, what we're seeing is those kind of people finally trying to get away from contract phones, and you end up in this little gray area of, I just broke out of a contract or whatever it is, so I don't have $800 or $600 or $300 to spend on a phone, especially for like a family. And so what they're doing is they're going to the budget phone so they can save up, excuse me, in like 2 years or a year to get a really good phone, because they just got out of the contract and they're used to getting that free upgrade or discounted upgrade. So they need a good budget phone that's going to work at least for a year, maybe more. So this fits that bill.
Absolutely. Yeah, and my only real gripe with Windows Phone 8.1 and the software in general, really all versions of Windows Phone, the one thing that kind of we talk about a lot, I know Tony touched on this in your review as well for the Win HD, is the marketplace or the App Store. Really, if you're invested in the Google ecosystem, because like me personally, I'm on Gmail every day, I'm constantly on Hangouts every day, messaging people back and forth 24/7 on there, so when you're that invested into Google's ecosystem, if you search Google here on the App Store, there's a Google search app, but that's kind of where it stops right there. there are third-party apps for YouTube and Google Maps and stuff like that, but there is no real official support for Google on here. So the App Store as a whole really is pretty comparable. I mean, all your core applications are there. You've got iHeartRadio, Pandora, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the Microsoft applications, the main applications, Nokia's Here applications. You really have all the essentials you need, but just keep in mind, if you are invested in, say, Apple's ecosystem or Google's ecosystem, there are going to be certain applications that you can't get on here, but for just the core streaming video, playing games, getting map navigation, they are here on Windows Phone. So I know that's kind of an area that gets trashed on quite a bit for not having applications, but just the bare essentials, if you're not looking to have all of your services from Google or Apple, it is a pretty comparable marketplace.
Well, and think about how many times you've seen just a poster at a restaurant or in a place in the mall that says "Find us" or get our app on, and then it'll have, or not. I'm sorry, not poster at a store, but anywhere you're on a website and it'll say "Get our app on iTunes or Google Play." Have you ever seen the Windows App Store?
Actually, I saw one earlier today. The Uber has it. I got a flyer in the mail for a coupon for them that said, get your $30 off for your first try, and it had the Windows Phone Store logo on there. I was surprised.
Wow, yeah, I've never seen that in person myself. But that was just my last thought. I don't want to continue on this.
All right, so Joe, so that's a good budget phone that we support and we recommend. Fred, what about the other side? You got a good budget phone that's not recommended?
Well, yeah, I spent some time this week with HTC Desire 510, which I'll be honest, I'll be relatively concise here because we're starting to run out of time. I wrote a lengthy review of this phone that posted on Tech Dissected today, but I had really hoped when I got this phone to be able to give the kind of review that Joe gave to the Windows Phone, and especially coming as it did, landing on my desk right when we're kind of in the middle of spec wars in the month of September, when everybody was announcing the latest cutting-edge phones. I was really hoping that there would be a good, affordable, entry-level Android phone out there. This one is being marketed on Sprint, Boost, and I think Virgin, primarily as a prepaid phone at about $9 a month. So it's an easy transition for somebody that never had a smartphone and so on. And at first glance, looks good. It's a familiar form factor if you've seen or used the HTC One M8 or some of the other HTC phones. It's familiar looking. It's got a polycarbonate case, which is a little cheaper looking, but it is a little cheaper of a phone. Obviously, it's a cheaper phone than the M8, but it's not a bad look. It feels solid. And the first thing that you notice when you turn this on, other than that the interface is cluttered and the display is weak, it's FWVGA, which, to put things in context, is the same screen resolution I had on my original Motorola Droid from about 5 years ago. But once you get past that, things move very smoothly, and I have to attribute it to the again, the quad-core CPU. It's a Snapdragon 400, same as in the phone that Joe was looking at. And things scroll nicely. There's never any lag. And again, only 500 megs of RAM, so I was surprised to see things running well. I took this on the road the other day, ran Google Maps, which is kind of a resource hog, ran Spotify, which is kind of a resource hog, and it never really hiccuped or lagged. But the real fail on this, and the one that did not make any of the reviews that I saw, is that this phone has 4 gigabytes of storage. Now, we've had some debates on earlier weeks of this show as to whether 16, is 8 absurd, is 16 enough, is 32 enough, and so on. And this is 4 gigabytes. Now, again, it's an entry-level user phone, but in some ways it takes more skill and it takes more of a power user to manage something with this small amount of storage. When I noticed that the thing had filled up, I had only installed a couple of apps on it, and it wasn't any big games. It was no Leo's Fortune on here, just a few basic apps and connected to my Google account, and the thing was choked at 4 gigabytes. Well, it's got room for an expansion card. You can put in a micro SD card, actually up to 128 gigabytes, which is nice. But even doing so, and even with a fresh factory reset, even with no apps installed, baseline installation, just the OS and whatever carrier bloat, for lack of a better word, is on there. It came in at about 3.1 gigabytes out of 4 gigs of storage. So you're left with 900 meg of usable user storage, and that used up very quickly. Now, my concern about this is that, number one, even the SD card, the OEM didn't provide it. The carrier does not provide it, so it's got to be, we're talking again entry-level users who are not going to be that technical oriented. They're going to get the phone, didn't want to spring for an expensive Android phone, didn't want to spring for an iPhone. I foresee people getting a phone like this. Within a week or two, they're going to find that they're completely choked because of lack of storage. They can't install an app on it. Apps that they have installed probably aren't going to run because you're out of breathing room. And I fear that they're going to conclude that, well, Android is not all it's cracked up to be, and they've got to shell out the big bucks and go get an iPhone because it works right out of the box. So I think it's a noble effort to try to put out an affordable phone for entry-level Android users, but lack of storage was a major miscalculation on this.
Yeah, and it's crazy because specs are similar to the one that Joe just talked about, but yet a completely inferior experience on your side.
Yeah, no question. And there's a lot of other concessions that I could have made. I could have been happy to let an inferior display go with the understanding that it's a budget phone, mediocre camera, and so on. But as long as things ran on it.
Yeah.
But you get to the point that you can only install 2 or 3 apps, and you're choked out of room. You're basically just going to find people are going to find that they can use it as a phone, and they can't use it as everything that they've always heard a smartphone is supposed to be. So I have to give it a resounding unrecommendation, unfortunately. With that said, I also received from the good folks at Sprint. I also received, and I just kind of teased you guys last week with the another HTC, which is the One E8. Which now that I finished my review on the 510, I stoked this one up today, and this is pretty nice, and I think this is going to get a much more favorable review. So hopefully I'll have that to talk about next week. And I also received the LG G3. I'm sorry, it's the LG G3 Vigor, I believe. And there was some controversy here, but I like the original G3. And, this is a scaled-down model, and haven't spent any time with it yet, but I'll report to you guys on both of those next week.
Cool. Yeah, I look forward to it. All right, now is the time. It is giveaway time. We've got a burning hot giveaway, and guys, if I'm looking at this correctly, am I looking at the document correctly for number 1?
Well, now, okay. We
Help me out.
listed 1 through 31, and we've been using a random number generator. So,
okay.
So we did a couple of random numbers. You can scroll up in the chat and see them, and then a couple others. So we're just going to draw until we get somebody who's watching. And the first thing we need is you to comment. Where should he comment? Where would be the best place?
Oh, well, we also already had some people comment while we were doing the live stream, too.
Well, no. I mean, after we draw the name, we need you to comment and let us know you're watching, because if you're not, we're going to move on to the next name. And then you also need to let us know if your shipping is domestic, because if it's not, then we need to draw another name. So where should we have him comment? On the event page, or...
The event page or the Q&A. Whichever's easiest for you, we'll look at both of them.
Okay. We'll draw a name, and then you guys look on both, and we'll make sure we get them. All right. Joe, it looks like you're pulling a lot of them. Can I defer to you for the actual name drawing of this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let me remind everybody real quick before we do it, while you're looking and getting your numbers straightened out. Tony, hold it up. We've got the Windows Phone from Blue, the bright yellow highlight of this beautiful phone. You will enjoy it for most US GSM variants, and we will ship it in the States because it's typically a States phone. And Joe, go ahead. Who has won this thing?
If you said the event page.
Now, okay, we're choosing a name off the list, and then once they hear their name called, they have to.
All right.
That's what I meant there.
Okay, so it looks like we have got Sahir Steen. I'm saying that correct.
Sahir Steam. Congratulations. All right, now here's what you've got to do. He's got to comment either on the Q&A or on the event page, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll give you, I don't know, a few seconds here, not too long, because we've got to move quick. So hopefully you're watching, and you're not watching this later in the week and realizing that you've lost. Sahir Steam, correct? Make sure I'm saying that correctly. Sahir Steam, it looks like. You have won if you can comment in the Q&A or comment on the event page. We'll give you just a few more seconds here. Hopefully you're watching live and are able to comment. Guys, are we seeing anything yet?
Well, who was the name now?
Sahir Steam.
Okay.
Doesn't look like it.
Nope. All right.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Sahir, especially if you're watching this later.
Yeah. That's gonna suck. Sorry. That's gonna suck. And you know what? Judging by the amount of viewers we have right now, it's gonna suck for a couple people tonight, or whenever they watch it. That's gonna suck. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Sahir, you had your chance. Moving right next. Who was our next lucky winner there, Joe?
Alright, so it looks like the next person we have got is... Where is my list here? We've got Kiara Whitaker. Kiara Whitaker?
Kiara Whitaker,
Butchering your name.
congratulations. Hopefully you have a few seconds. Please comment either on the Q&A or on the event page. Hopefully you're watching live and can comment on there. We'll give you a few seconds on that before we move on. Hopefully you're here and you're not another Sahir. Kiara Whitaker, are you around? What's it looking like, guys?
Nothing so far. Man, this is gonna sting. We're gonna be like the most disliked YouTube video since Friday.
Yeah, not seeing anything yet.
Alright, so sorry. Moving right along. Who's next, Joe?
Who is next? Where are my notes here? Alright, so we have got Christina Mai? Looks like
Christian Mai?
Christian Mai.
Oh, Christian Mai. Sorry about that.
Christian Mai. Congratulations, Christian. Hopefully you're here watching live. We'll give you a few seconds.
Maybe.
You guys keep up. You have a few seconds to comment in the Q&A or on the event page, Christian. So hopefully you're here watching.
Well, hey, while we're waiting for the winner to step up to the stage and claim their prize, we got a couple of not questions but comments in the Q&A, which I should share. Our friend and fan, your brother the nerd, is here and actually commented on the Desire 510, which he said before hearing the review he got for his daughter and is now considering returning it. Actually, it sounds like he was already considering returning it because he's spending more time trying to juggle the storage around. Yeah, that was really my predicament also. And you know, you and I are guys that I think know our way around on an Android phone. So again, for the entry-level user, that's going to be a real frustrating experience. And then there's also a comment here. I don't think we saw this on the. Okay, this is a Windows 10 comment from Sahil Tiwari. Another improvement, he says, is Smart UI that automatically adapts to tablet or laptop mode. I wasn't familiar with that, so I'm assuming that what we're talking about here is that it's going to recognize the hardware and reformat the your desktop home screen user interface, which is nice. I mean, it depends on what they do, I guess, but in general, the idea that it's got some sensitivity and responsiveness to the hardware that it's running on is a nice touch.
See, I think I was
As is Joe's new beard.
to like a yoga laptop. Like if you have a machine that is sometimes a laptop and sometimes a tablet, that it'll adapt to whether or not you're using it as a tablet. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I know Alvie wants to, or Joe wants to announce the winner. We have the winner.
Right. Well, I went to announce it, and I turned into a pirate for a second, so I'm not sure. On
That's a good sign. That means the next person's going to be watching live, and we'll have won a phone. Who is that lucky winner?
All right. So look at the drum roll going here.
Nice.
Shahil Tawari. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but
Shahil
you're the winner.
Tawari. Hopefully that's how you say it. If you're around, hit us up in the Q&A or on the event page, and we'll give you just a few seconds to say I'm here and I win.
Yeah, it looks like he.
I know he's commented in general. You still around?
Yeah, he commented just a second ago. So he is here.
Yay!
Well, congratulations, Sahil.
Congratulations, Sahil. You're the lucky winner. Absolutely. Come on, give him a hand clap, everybody. It took us a while to get there, but we got there. Good job. So Sahil, Tony or Joe will be with you. They'll get with you on shipping and all that, correct? One of you guys will get that to him?
I'll get it.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so we are running a little bit over on time because it took a minute to find us a winner. So real quick, I'll go left to right this time. Chuck, what's coming up for you this week?
Oh, what is coming up in this week? Well, I'm going to be stress testing my Moto X to see if it actually can last me the entire day. Battery's been a big concern on that device, so I don't really make a comment until I've had it for at least a week. So by next week's show, I'll be able to tell you.
Excellent. I can't wait to hear about it. I know you've got plenty of opinions about it in general. Back from the dead, Fred, what's going on for you this week, bud?
Hey, well, as mentioned, I've got 2 more phones here that I'll be testing and reviewing, and some other goodies that just arrived. I just came home to find an unexpected package which had an I Love Bluetooth speaker, which I'm looking forward to playing with. I got a pair of Jabra wireless headphones also, so I've got a lot of toys to play with here. I spent Wednesday at the Interop conference in New York City. Not a lot of mobile technology, a lot of bigger enterprise solutions. However, one really cool thing that I saw, and I'm hoping to get a demo unit of, is something made by a company called Cellrox, who has come up with a way to run multiple personas on the same Android phone. So they're basically like running 2 instances of the Android operating system at the same time. So you can have 2 profiles, basically, we would call it on a PC or on a Mac. But these will actually run side by side. So the purpose of this is to keep, say, your business and personal life separate, or I suppose your personal life from your secret personal life, or right. There were other applications suggested, like gamers who wanted to play the same game with multiple profiles. But I did see this running on a Nexus 5, and you could switch back and forth from one to the other. And hopefully I'm going to get my hands on one of these, and who knows, maybe we can even get the guys that built these things to come in and have a cup of coffee and chat with us here.
Absolutely, yeah. I look forward to hearing from it. Joe, what's going on with you over on Mobile Cup of Joe? What's brewing?
Well, hopefully we have quite a few videos going up this week. It was supposed to go up yesterday, but we had quite a few weird technical difficulties with. Tony talked about the Logitech webcam he got on the show last week. The review for that was supposed to go up this week, but like I said, crazy stuff that was going on with those video files, so that should be going up hopefully tonight or early tomorrow morning, somewhere around there. And then also I still got to get the unboxing video up too. Unboxing and full review for this Nokia Lumia 635, and also my contact at AT&T, Teresa Mask, who was actually on here last week's show. She's going to try to get me in hopefully soon a Moto X as well as a Samsung Galaxy Alpha, so quite a few videos and phones in the pipeline. So next couple of weeks should be lots of content going up on the channel.
Awesome, awesome. Look forward to it. Tony, what about you? What's brewing next week?
Oh man, in the wake of everything, all the phone releases on Swappa, things have been slowly calming down, very very slowly. But as far as review stuff right now, I'm kind of in a slump. I'm waiting on a couple of things. For some reason, around this time of year, this year, all of the companies with the things I've been most excited to try out have emailed saying, "Hey, we're having some shipping delays, or we're having some difficulties getting our initial units." I still haven't gotten my Moto 360 review unit, which I've been waiting on which I've not been waiting on, but that I requested in May. So a couple of things. The one I'm most excited for, which it sounds like might not be shipping until early 2015, is the Recon Jet, which is similar to Google Glass and just does a little bit different things. But as of right now, I've got nothing coming up. Hoping that we can get everybody back together for a round table, because I really want to shoot a round table on Your Phone Is Like a Bed. So especially just every day I want to shoot this video more. So that's what's in the future for me. Hopefully getting a round table with you guys to talk about why the importance of spending money on a phone.
Cool. Excellent. Wow. Sounds good.
Oh,
And then
also.
Nick, no, sorry, go ahead.
Sahil, I sent you a message. You may have to check your Hangout requests.
So in case you missed that, Sahil, Tony has sent you a Hangout message, so hopefully you get that. And Nick, you work with Fred over at Tech Dissected as well. What's going on for you this week, bud?
I do. So I have a Tableau, which is a DVR that you hook up to your HDTV antenna that I'm going to try and review this week. I got some really cool products from CAD Audio. The microphone that I've been using tonight is from them. And I also have these studio headphones that they sent to me that I'll be reviewing at some point. They're very bright. So hopefully we'll get that out soon too.
Cool. Excellent. Well, once again, congratulations to Sahil. I hope you enjoy your phone. Again, look for your Hangouts message, and Tony and Joe will be with you, contacted for getting all your information so you can get your phone. On behalf of Chuck, Fred, Joe, Tony, and Nick, thank you so much for watching this Hangouts on Air, this What's Brewing with Mobile Cup of Joe and guests. We hope you join us next week at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll do this all over again. More guests, more giveaways, but never any gimmicks. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope to see you next week. Congratulations, Sahil. Good night.